Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask Aaron. Number one for the week. My wife and I went on a brief, sort of planned 2 day getaway last week, which happened to fall Thursday through Saturday. And I decided to honor my marriage covenant instead of filming an Ask Aaron in a hotel. I hung out with my wife. So hopefully you're okay with a Monday and Friday Ask Aaron this week. If not, all complaints can go to max at hillcityhudson.org. Anyway, got a lot of questions about last week's sermon and then this past Sunday's, so jump into those. As always, these are my answers, not the church's. I hope they agree, and hopefully you'll tune in on on Friday as well for the message questions. But if you don't, and you want to join the comments to continue our conversation, please do that for this one. And, we'll see if we can grab your attention for Friday. Here we go. The sermon I gave was about the Israelites and idolatry, and us as an American church and idolatry, that we have idols, and we need to stop ignoring them. Here's the question. Are the Israelites still guilty of breaking a commandment even though they hadn't had it given to them yet? This is a timing issue, right? Moses goes up and Aaron builds the golden calf before Moses comes down with the idolatry comment or commandment rather. And so are the Israelites still guilty of breaking a commandment even though they hadn't been given the commandments yet? I guess not. But it is insulting to God that, he had given them life. He had brought them out of slavery in Egypt. He had parted the Red Sea. He had provided for them manna from heaven every morning. And yet, here we sit about 40 days later, and Moses comes down with the commandment. The Israelites should have known better than to place a golden calf created out of the gold that they had, worn or procured over the course of their lives, that Aaron had melted down and formed into a calf. They should have known better than to worship this golden calf idol above anything that, had done all the things that God had done for them. And obviously, Jewish law and tradition had taught that God was the most important person and God that they would ever have, and that they should worship him above all else, right? That had been a Jewish understanding since the beginning of the relationship that God had with the Israelites, which goes back all the way to Abraham and potentially all the way to Adam. So, yes, are they guilty of breaking that specific commandment? No, it hadn't been given to them yet. But should they have known better, and did they know better, and did they understand why the number one commandment was what it was when they came down, when Moses came down? Yes. And were they aware that they were breaking a covenant that they had with God as their God? Absolutely they were. And so were they guilty of that specific commandment? No. Were they guilty? Were they sinning? Yes, absolutely. Next question. Isn't it a little bit of God's fault for giving us the things that we idolize? And the answer to this is no. No, right? Lots of people idolize all sorts of different things. People idolize technology. People idolize other people. People idolize houses, cars, money. Those things are in some way, shape, or form necessary for what it is that we do on a daily basis, right? We live in a world where these things are necessary. There will always be stuff for us to use and to need, and we are the ones who take those things that created stuff, and we worship it above the Creator. And whether it's a human being who was created by God or stuff that created beings created, putting it above God is a decision that we make. It's a daily decision that we make, and it's something that only we can do, is to give away our own heart. So no, it's not God's fault for giving us the things that we need in order to live and survive. You could say that you idolize food, right? Isn't that what gluttony is? You're putting your relationship with food above your relationship with your body and the body that God created for you and asks you to take care of. So anything can be an idol, and to eliminate the thought of this question, God would have to have created us and nothing else, and even then, people idolize themselves over God. So, no, it's not God's fault. It's our fault. We give away our heart, and in doing so, we put something or someone else above God, and that's not God's fault. That's our fault. So, next question. Is it better to not vote than to vote against God's commandment? I asked the question of, do you basically idolize your politics? Do you give away your heart to politics by choosing the things that you vote for over the things that God asks us to care about when we vote? And so this question is asking, is it better to not vote than to vote against God's commandment? My answer to that, I guess, would be yes, right? To not go against God would be better than to go against God. And if you have to abstain from voting because you think that, you can't vote for one side or the other for this reason, you can't vote for the other side for that reason, then yes, just don't vote. Do I say that you shouldn't vote no matter what? No, I think hopefully you understand Scripture, you understand God's commands, you want to honor God with your votes and the way you do politics. Now, I understand that is very difficult at times. Very difficult, right? Like that it doesn't seem like anybody's following God, and you have to choose the lesser of two evils and all of those kinds of things. Like, trust me, I understand that. What I'm saying is yes, it's better to not vote than to vote against something knowing that vote goes against God or what God commands. So, there have been times that I have not voted. And as a person whose grandfather fought in the war specifically, he told me for my right to vote, that has been challenging for me. There are times that I have voted for people that I knew would not impact the election because I thought that their life values and the way that they said that they would run our country or our state or our county best aligned with what I believed needed to be done. So, some people would say that's throwing away your vote. But what I have not ever done and what I will not ever do is vote for someone or something that goes against what God has said is good and bad. So, I think it is better to not vote. And, you can argue with me on that till the cows come home, which, is a strange saying. I guess cows just come home after a while if they run away. But voting is not a commandment. Thou shalt vote is not a commandment. Thou shalt, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength, and honor him with what you do in your life is a commandment. And so that's where I kind of draw the line on that one. All right, last one here. It's from a kid. Not a kid. It's from a young adult. How does God watch all of us at the same time? This is a great question. I sent, in response to this question, I sent a clip from Bruce Almighty where Jim Carrey receives all the prayers as emails, and he gets the time to answer them. But I think there's a better way to explain it, because the real answer is this. It's a little bit difficult to understand. We exist in linear time, right? It's always moving forward. We have seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. It's always going in one direction. God exists outside of linear time. To God, everything is sort of just reality. It happens all at once and all at the same time, and it is eternal. And so God is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. Those are Greek words, Greek letters. basically, that's how you explain it. God exists outside of time. He's not confined by linear time. But the better way for me to explain this is to talk a little bit of video games. The Sims, or Civilization, or I guess any game where you create a people or a world. Perhaps I've never played Minecraft. Perhaps it's the same on Minecraft. But you get a turn, right? Every turn, you get to check in on all of your people. You get to change what they wear, change who they're attacking, build buildings, all these different things, right? And in that turn, their lives continue to go on. Time continues to march forward. And you, as the god of that universe, are checking in on all of them, making decisions about what they're going to build, who they're going to attack, what they're going to wear, what their house looks like, all of these different things. And they just continue on living their lives the way that they know how as video game characters, right? In the same way, God has the ability to check in on us because we are his creation and he exists outside of our created world. And so God checks in on us. God can make decisions before we even ask the questions because God knows what we're going to ask. God knows what the choices will be. God can answer our prayers or know what our prayers are before we've even prayed them because he exists outside of time. Now, does that mean that he made the decision before we even, prayed the prayer? Maybe in the sense that we hadn't actually uttered it yet, but he knew what we would utter, and so that is the prayer that he receives, and that is the decision that he makes. And so next time you wonder, how does God watch all of us at the same time? Go open the Sims or a Civilization game or Minecraft perhaps. Again, I'm not really sure. But give those games your attention for an hour or two, and you'll start to understand how God can exist outside of the world in which he created us to exist, and therefore has the ability to kind of see the entirety of the world and all of its people for who they are and what they do and what they say and how they act and whether or not they love him and if they want to be in a relationship with him and what they're going to pray about and all those different things. All right? That's a great question. It's the best I can do to answer it. Hopefully it makes a little sense. As always, I want to thank you for asking Aaron. Hopefully you'll come back and watch me answer some more questions on Friday. As always, you can watch the sermons, hillcityhudson.org/media. You can watch on the app, on YouTube or Facebook. You can watch anything we do on YouTube or Facebook. Have a great week. We'll talk to you Friday. Thanks always for asking Aaron.